Hello and welcome to this astrological update. This is a new moon update. It's also the spring equinox, and I've brought our in-house astrologer, Kaylin Olander, to give us the astro forecast. What is happening now? So first of all, new moon. What is a new moon about?
New moon is about setting intentions. So this is coming up with your goals. This is brainstorming the kind of wishes that you're going to fulfill this lunar cycle.
Awesome. And where do we have the new moon this time?
The new moon is in Pisces.
Yay!
Yay!
Okay, so why is there a discrepancy? What is the difference between true sidereal astrology? How is that accurate versus what everybody else is going to be saying?
So true sidereal astrology is based off of where the planets actually are in the sky in relation to Earth's position in space. Now, all of the other folks out there are going to be going off of a system. Most of them are going to be using tropical astrology, which is a system that was set to the Northern Hemisphere weather and seasons about 2,000 years ago. And they created this calendar. It's a fake calendar. It doesn't change. But because we know that the Earth wobbles on its axis, one day every 71 years, that calendar is now off. And by a lot, by almost a whole sign. And by almost, it's about 25 days off of that calendar.
Okay, perfect. So true sidereal astrology is the only form of astrology that's actually accurate, meaning that it's talking about where the planets actually are in the sky in relation to Earth. So my assumption was always that that's what astrology was. Not true. True sidereal is the only one that's scientifically accurate. So that's why a lot of reading your horoscopes or people using astrology as a personality test, that's why a lot of it is so inaccurate. And therefore is the wisdom and the knowledge and the power of it is actually disempowered and suppressed in society because it is so powerful. For example, Kaylin did an astro forecast for those who purchased this goddess calendar.
Oh my gosh.
He did an astro forecast for 2023. And we just saw today that the federal government in the United States are unleashing a digital currency, a central digital currency, and their proposed date is July. And Kaylin predicted that would be roll out in August. So we'll see whether it's delayed and it actually does happen in August.
It literally is blowing our minds right now. I said towards the beginning of August, going into August, we are going to be having some sort of shift, whether with money or with land and food. And our prediction, we specifically said, and you can watch the video, I don't know if maybe you've already watched it. Hopefully you have, where we actually talk about how one of the systems in terms of money, with us being in this kind of Aquarian energy right now with Saturn, could be moving our money into some type of online currency and doing away with banks and finding out a way where physical banks aren't going to work anymore. And literally, all of a sudden, all these banks, US Bank and Silicon Valley or something, totally crashed. All these banks are now crashing, and now they're creating a digital currency in order to solve this issue of these physical banks. But it's all a part of what we're talking about.
So if you
can't make this stuff up.
You can't. So I think there's a belief, in society that we don't know what's coming in the future. That's simply not true. We do know. We know exactly. Next year we have the same alignment as we had in 1776. So we know these things ahead of time. We just had Aquarius, and you talked about how there would be new AI in February. What happened in February? Everybody's talking about ChatGPT.
We talked about
jobs
AI.
going away.
We talked about being replaced by roboticism.
So now they have the first fully automated AI McDonald's in Denver that was just opened this week.
We also talked about the integration of technology in humankind and how that was going to be starting to cross the boundaries between what's human and what's not human. And now we have I don't know if you've seen, there's ads on Instagram to get an entire robotic limb there that you can move with your mind and stuff. There's payment systems now where you just have to swipe your palm now in order to pay, and somehow it's linked to your digital
Whole Foods
bank. this is the kind of stuff we were talking about, and now we're seeing it.
And so if you don't believe in the validity, or you watch this because you think, oh, this is fun, it's not. This is the forecast. This is what's coming, and what we're doing here and how we're empowering you is we're aligning you with what's happening so that you can be prepared and not be, the phrase is like caught with your pants down in America. I think that's the phrase.
Yeah.
But like, we're preparing you. So these updates are important. I mean, make sure you're looking out for them. If you have the calendar, you're already, really well set up there. And these updates are actually preparing you in how to navigate your life successfully, so that whatever is coming in 2024, that you are prepared for it and you're leading it, that you are not feeling like you have been caught up in a storm and you're kind of being swept up in it, like happened with the pandemic, versus astrologers that knew that was coming and therefore had a sense of how to navigate it in advance, right? So very important. So it's really important to understand this. And Kayland is one of the only people on earth that is following the scientific system, that he's actually following where the planets actually are. So we always reiterate this every time, because we always get that email. It's like, oh no, wait, it's in, something that's just not true. So don't send us that email. Just listen. And if you need to listen again, or just keep listening, okay, because it will prove itself. The validity of this system will prove itself to you as it has with us.
And don't just sit on this information. Don't watch this video and go, oh, that's interesting, and then move on with your life. Like, actually utilize this information and do something with it. We are in this collective global consciousness right now where we have knowledge and wisdom and logic all over the place. We're studying all over the place, but there is an action deficit going on. You could sit around and watch these videos forever, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't integrate, and actually take action on some of the things that we talk about. Yeah. It's amazing. But anyways, getting back on topic.
It's just the validity of it. So what does this
mean?
Yeah. What is the new moon in Pisces gifting us? So we should be setting an intention for what?
So anytime we go into Pisces season with the sun and this coming moon, this new moon cycle, we are drawn towards spirituality and emotional well-being. And those two things go hand in hand together. So for this new moon cycle, this next month, okay, I want you to set your intentions on two things. One of two things. They're going to be interchangeable, okay? Strengthening your connection with the spirit world, spirituality, okay? Whatever that means to you. Gaining a sense of faith. Letting go, surrendering to the universe, listening to signs, listening to prophetic dreams and meanings and things like that, looking into the stuff that's quote unquote esoteric, right? Do that, or set an intention towards your emotional boundaries, okay? This is in terms of how Pisces is so watery, and it's so compassionate, and it's so generous, and it wants to do so much for other people that it does it to the detriment of its own health. So you can avoid all of the exhaustion, so you can avoid all of the miscommunications between you and other people before you get taken advantage of. You gotta set emotional boundaries. Find out what it is that you're willing to do for people, and then have an awareness over when you're overextending yourself or when something's too much, and be able to say, that's too much. I cannot do that, and find ways to fill your cup. And that's going to be through spirituality. So that is what I'm just going to say. I'm going to keep it very simple so I don't go into Pisces land. So just emotional well-being with your boundaries and your spiritual connection. Okay? That's it. That's all I want you to do for this next lunar cycle.
So I'm going to challenge you, and this is an opportunity for you to get direct coaching. Reply to this email that we sent this in and send us your intention. Send us your intention. What is it? Okay, and where the coaching will come in is if it's very broad and there's no way of measuring it, then I'm going to say, okay, what does that mean, or why? So I'm going to coach you a little bit back and forth, and we'll figure out, and we'll actually flesh out what your intention is.
Right. Don't be that person that's like, I just want to feel better.
Well,
or
right,
I just
you
want a
can't measure
stronger connection with the divine.
Right.
It has to be like some specific goal, some specific intention, some specific goal that you can lay out and say, during this time, during this month, this is what I want to accomplish, and these are the things I'm going to do so that I can accomplish that. And then I will know if I've accomplished that by this point because of fill in the blank.
And so the way that you can actually discover what is the intention you want to set for this month is to actually look at what is not working with your spiritual connection, or look at what is not working with your boundaries. Where are you being depleted and where are you being emotionally drained? So look at those two areas and figure out, okay, which one is the higher priority? Is it your connection to source? Is it your connection with the divine? Insert the language that you know to be true. Or is it that you are being depleted, drained, and you are overextending yourself and you feel like, is this the martyr complex?
This is the martyr complex.
The Pisces. So figure out, where are you carrying some resentment because you feel like you're giving and giving and giving and it's not being reciprocated, or it's not being acknowledged, that you might have a martyr kind of identity that's formed around that. And so maybe that's the higher priority. And so therefore, how do you create healthy boundaries? And also it's like, how can you create those agreements, agreements that are balanced? I don't want to go too much into Libra, but like, how can you create...
You're making emotional compromises for your betterment.
Right.
It's not necessarily...
Because if you end up resenting someone, that's not really fair to them, is it? Right? If you overextend yourself and then you feel like you're not acknowledged for that, and then you build resentment towards that person, that's not fair on that person, is it? They didn't ask for those things. And if you start creating resentment, and that person is completely oblivious, it's not fair on that person. So you can always think of it that way as well, right? To really, resource yourself. So hit reply, send me your intention for this month as you set your new moon intention in Pisces. This is a very special time. This is really a time for deep inner growth and wisdom, a time for peace, right? What are other themes of Pisces?
This is going to be the lunar season of miracles, if I can say that. This is when we finally go inward and we start to really find a way to be able to see the magic in the world, the mysticism of the world. This is the season where you have these lovely dreams in your head and you want to figure out how to get them out of your head and into the real world. Because by putting that into the real world, that's what makes the magic, okay? But you can't do that if you don't believe. You can never, ever, 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 ever achieve your goals, your dreams, whatever, if you don't believe, or if you have an excuse, or you play the victim card. You can't do that. During this season, that is why spiritual connection is so important and emotional boundaries is so important. Because if you're overwhelmed because you're constantly doing things for other people, right, then you don't have a strong emotional anchor to be able to even communicate with some kind of divine or higher consciousness. You're not able to do that. You have to completely get at a pure inner peace, like a pure sense, an inner peace sense, where you have a sense of trust with the world, because you realize that everything is connected. Everything that you think, everything that you have a subconscious desire of, it comes out in some way or another, or another. I'm getting accents. But anyways, this is the season for that magic to happen, okay? And a lot of this magic, it has to do with having something very, 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 very specific in your head, being able to see it, being able to feel it, calling it out to the universe, right? If anyone's who's religious, they talk about how like God spoke things into the world, or these goddesses spoke things into the world. They're manifesting. They're taking something, they're bringing it outward, they're declaring it, and then they're taking little actions and then the universe meets them halfway. That's what this season's all about. It's what it's all about. So
beautiful. So I'm so excited to see your reply. What is your new moon intention? For my ladies doing my Aphrodite detox, you are well aware of what your intention is. We've been working that together. And so now is the time to really get clear, get specific, get deep. Pisces is very deep, right?
It's so deep it gets lost in itself.
Yes, and so that's where a little bit of coaching might come in helpful. So declare your intention to me. I'll be on the lookout for it. And I'll give you some coaching if it needs a little bit of refining and finessing so that it can come into fruition.
Right.
So thank you so much
for
the update.
Yeah.
And as always,
thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. And as always, we're sending you so much love. Mwah.